Now we will read about the factor that led to the revival of the Italian cities. After the decline of the Roman Empire, the towns of Italy, which were politically and culturally central, were fell into ruins. Means the towns of Italy used to be very important at that time because Roman Empire's heart was the Rome, and that was in Italy. So many Italian towns were very important from the point of view of the trade because at that time Mediterranean Sea used to be the main trading center of the world. So when the Roman Empire declined, these towns were also started declining and they ruined with the passage of time. After the fall of the Roman Empire, Western Europe was restructured by the feudal bonds. Means feudalism started to be coming in European continent that we have already discussed in chapter 6 and unified under the Latin Church. The church which was situated in the Vatican City, and you know that the language of the Italy is Latin, so that is known as the Latin Church. So that took hold of the feudal system of that Western Roman Empire, and feudalism became very much stronger in the Western Roman Empire. Eastern Europe went under the rule of the Byzantine Empire. By the end of the Roman Empire was divided into two parts. First is the early Roman Empire and the late Roman Empire. And as we know that the late Roman Empire was still intact in the areas of Byzantine. Presently the Byzantine is known as the Istanbul. So that is the eastern part of the Roman Empire that was still under the control of the Byzantine ruler. And the capital of Byzantine Empire was the Constantinople, which was shifted by the King Constantine. And Islam was building a common society further west. In western side, Islam was still becoming very strong because many parts of the Spain was under the control of the Islamic people because they conquered the areas of Spain, and now that became a part of the Islamic world. At this time, Italy was weak and fragmented. Italy was not much stronger at that time because of the fall of the Roman Empire. Now Italy lost its significance and it became very weak and fragmented, and it got fragmented into pieces which were under the control of various other rulers and empires. All these development helped in the revival of the Italian culture. So with the passage of time, when the Italian cities declined, now after the decline of the feudal bonds or the feudal system that we have discussed in the chapter 6, now it was again the time for the revival of the Italian culture or Italian cities. And with the passage of time, these Italian cities which once used to be very powerful during the Roman Empire, now again got a new lease of life and they became again developed cities, and these were a kind of the city state. Now again we will discuss some more factors which led to the development of the Italian cities at that time during the time of Renaissance. The ports of the Italian coast revived because of the development of trade. So trade was the main reason why the city was developing at that time, and the trade was taking place between the Byzantine Empire as well as the Islamic countries at that time. We have read about the Crusades. So during these Crusade war also there was a lot of increase in the trade. From the 12th century, the Mongols started trading with China through the Silk Route. So Silk Route also became at its peak at that time, and it was revived by the Mongolian people. They used to trade with Europe as well as the China and India also, and it was increased at that time with the European countries. Italian cities played a vital role, and at that time in this trade, Italian cities became very important and they played a vital role. As a result, these cities started to be developing. These cities kept their identity as independent city-states. So they were not under the control of any feudal lord. Rather, they used to be like a city-state. They were having their own rules and their own government. Florence and Venice were among the republics. So Florence, which is an important city of Italy, and Venice, which was also an important city at that time, and the traders of Venice was very important. They were among the republics. So these cities were governed by the people who used to live in the cities. So the elected government used to be there, which used to run the government in these two cities, that is the Florence and Venice. Many new cities came into existence because of their administration was in the hands of the rich merchants. So administration of these cities were in the hand of the rich merchants. They used to govern the city, and bankers used to be there, and free from the control of the clergy and feudal lords. So the church was not having its role in the governing of these cities. So it was away from the clutches of the feudal lord also. So the city got a chance to develop because of the trade, because merchants used to make the policy which used to be favorable for the traders, and this helped the idea of citizenship, and they were also given the citizenship. So this was a new idea which emerged in Italy at that time. Citizen and subject are two terms. Subject doesn't have any right, and rather they are controlled by the ruler, whereas the citizens have certain other fundamental rights and they can exercise their rights in their daily life. So they were called the citizens. So the idea of citizenship came from these cities of Italy, which emerged due to the rise in the trade between the Europe and other continents. Now, with the emergence of the city, there were other development that took place over there. First of all, universities. So the universities were also started to be set up at that time, and humanism. Humanism was a new concept, and new subjects were also introduced in the curricula of the universities. In Europe, earlier universities were established in Italian towns, the universities of Padua and Bologna. So these were the two universities which were set up initially. One is Padua, second is Bologna. Had been the centers of the legal studies. So law was an important subject at that time, because law, it was required to make the trade easier, because there used to be many bonds which used to take place in the trade. So legal study was very important subject at that time, and many people wanted to study the law. So Padua and Bologna were the universities where legal studies was done. There was a growing demand for lawyers and notaries to write and interpret the rules written contracts and increasing trade. So whenever there is a trade between two parties, so they have generally an agreement among them. So that agreement is also having certain terms and conditions. So these terms and conditions were noted down or written by the lawyers as well as the notaries, and commerce depended over them, and these terms and conditions used to decide the course of the trade. So one has to have a very good knowledge to make these terms and conditions, and that can better understood by the study of law. So lawyers and notaries were in great demand at that time in Italian cities. As a result, universities were also introducing the subjects which were concerned with the law and other kind of things which are required for the making the trade easier. There was a change in emphasis, and law became a popular subject of the study, that I told you earlier also, that law became an important subject at that time. Francisco Petrarch represented this change and stressed the significance of the deep reading of ancient authors. So to study the law, one should have a knowledge of the history also. So Francis Petrarch, who was a great humanitarian or humanistic approach, he emphasized that people of that time should study the law, and for that they have to read the ancient authors, the Greek authors, and after that they can frame the rules. The educational program of that period was a mean of study more which religious teachings alone could not give. So at that time there was an educational program, and that was giving certain other subjects study like the rhetoric, grammar, and other subjects like history, political science, and that was not a part of the religious teaching of that time, because earlier the study was taking place in the churches, and the church used to emphasize the study of the religion. So these subjects were not included in that teaching. So these new subjects were introduced at that time in Italian universities. Universities and humanism. By the 15th century, Florence became famous as a trade and educational center. So it became an important city because of trade as well as because of education. A city was not known only by its wealth, rather the city was known by its citizen. It means the wealth was not given that much importance at that time, rather the citizen, what kind of people used to live in a city, that was more important at that time. And Florence became a well-known city because of its citizens. And who were the citizens of Florence? Dante Alighieri, who used to be a layman who wrote religious themes. So he was a great writer and he was a well-known writer, and because of that writer, the city was also well-known. Second one is Giotto. He was also an artist who used to make the lifelike portraits. So he was also a very talented person. So by and large, a city was not known by the wealth which it has accumulated. Rather, the city was known by the people of the city, that what kind of people used to live over there. So there was a famous term at that time, and that term was called as the Renaissance man. Now what was the Renaissance man? That is given over here. It is a term which is used to describe a person with many interest and skill. If a person is having multi talents, that was called a Renaissance man. Like one example I am giving you, and that is Leonardo da Vinci. He was an engineer as well as a great painter. So that kind of person who was having a multi talent, that person was called as the Renaissance man. So the people tried to become multi talented at that time, and the city was also known by these multi talented people. So that was the tradition of that time, and this was the period of Renaissance. From then it developed as the most exciting intellectual city in Italy and a center of artistic creativity. So Florence became the most important city because of its intellectual people who were living in the city, and because of the artistic creation which was done by the people in the city. So the city became famous not by the wealth, rather by its people. You can see that this is a sketch of the city of Florence, which was designed in 1470s, and you can see the artistic creation in this sketch. The map of the city is quite good, which was made by an artist, and buildings are also quite visible. The city is situated on the bank of a river, and because of the river, the ships could reach up to the city, and as a result it became an important trading town, because international trade at that time was also taking place through the waterways, and since the city was connected by the river, so it was also having a suitable condition for the international trade, and because of this trade the city became a developed city. Now the humanist view of history. Humanists believe that a dark age had set up after the collapse of the Roman Empire. Why they used to call it a dark age? After the collapse of the Roman Empire, many parts of the European continent went into the hand of the Islamic people, and rest of the Europe were under the control of the feudal system. So the life of the people was totally controlled by the feudal lord as well as by the church. So there was no intellectual development which took place at that time. Later scholars unquestioningly assumed that a new age had begun in Europe from the 14th century. Means when the feudal system became declined in 14th century, we have read about the 14th century crisis in last chapter. A new lease to these cities were given, a new lease of life to these cities were given, and that led to the end of the medieval age, and new development took place in various spheres at that time after the 14th century. So they call it the modern age. So before that there used to be medieval age or middle age, and it was for a millennium, that is from 4th to 14th century. Almost 1000 year was there when no development took place in the European continent. So the humanist historians used to call it as the dark age or medieval age. Now this is the periodization which was given by the humanists of that time. 5 to 14th century, that is called the middle age. 5 to 9th century, they called it dark age, where no development took place in any sphere of life. 9 to 11th century, they called it early medieval age. 11 to 14th century, they called it the late middle age, and 15th century onward they called it the modern age, because modern ideas started developing at that time, and this was the time of Renaissance also, that is the time of rebirth. Now The age which they called the medieval age or the dark age, what happened in that age, that we will discuss over here, because that was the time when Islamic empire was quite powerful. So what was the contribution of the Arabian people who used to be at the center stage in the Islamic empire to the world history or to the world, that we are going to discuss over here. In the 14th century, many scholars began to read translated work of Greek writers like the Plato and Aristotle. So the new ideas in the 14th century, which the European used to call the modern age, developed because they studied the work of Plato and Aristotle. Now how they got to know about the work of Plato and Aristotle? It's because of the Arabian people. During the Islamic period, Arab translators carefully reserved and translated ancient manuscripts of the Plato and Aristotle, which they used to call Aflatun. Plato was known by the name of Aflatun and Aristotle was known by the name of Aristu. So they translated their work. As a result, they became available to the people of Europe. The Greek translated works of Arabic, Persian scholars for further transmission to other European people. Means the work which was preserved by the Arabian people, by translating their work, they were made available to other European people of the Greek translator. By the Greek translator of that time, they translated these Arabian work into Greek languages and that became available to the European people. These works were on natural sciences, mathematics, astronomy, medicine, chemistry, and Ptolemy's geography work, that is called Almagest. So these works became available to the European people and they were taught in the European universities because of the contribution made by the Arabian people only. So European people came to know about these great works because of the Arabian people, because they translated the work of these people, and that's why they could be preserved for the European people in later times for the study in the universities. And that is also quite visible. The word Almagest, here the word Al has come from the Arabian language, because generally this prefix is used in the Arabian language, and that's why this was used for the translated work of the Ptolemy's geography, that is Almagest. Now, among the Muslim writers who were regarded as the man of wisdom in the European continent and Italian world were Ibn Sina, that we have already discussed last chapter, and he is also known by the name of Avicenna in European continent, and Al-Razi or Regis, he was the author of Medical Encyclopedia. So these were important books which were available for the European people and for the study and further research in European continent because of the Muslim writers or Arabian writers. Ibn Rushd, he was an Arabian philosopher of Spain. He tried to resolve the tension between philosophical knowledge, that is called falsif, and religious belief. So he was also well known in European continent, and that writing also developed because of the Islamic empire during the period of Islamic empire, which is generally called as the dark age by the humanist historians. So was it really a dark age? That is still a question in the mind of the historians. Curricula in the universities continued to be dominated by the law. Medicine, theology, humanist subjects slowly began to be written after that. So that is the contribution made by the Arabian people to the world. So the European called it a dark age, but actually it was not a dark age, because a lot of contribution was made by the Islamic people, and European people experienced the modern age, that is the Renaissance age, because of the contribution made by these people during the medieval ages.